Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me, you know her as 99 World Cup winner, and also by accident, I muted her as I started playing the intro. Saskia Weber.
It's probably a good thing you did, else you would have had to find those beeps.
Oh my gosh.
You would have had to edit beeps in. Well, beep, I'm telling you.
For those of you guys who are not watching this live right now, we are recording this right while France and Switzerland are in extra time in the Euros in the round of 16. Not ideal timing to do a live podcast, but we're going to make it happen. Everybody can mute it in the background. We can watch it. Maybe we'll give some live in-game commentary on what's going on. And somebody that knows a little bit about that is the one and only Pro GK Academy himself, Las Vegas Lights goalkeeper coach, Omar Zini. What's up, dude?
What's up, guys? Luis, pleasure to have you, man.
Thank
you. I introed him already. Sorry, Mike.
No, that's okay. You didn't give him the proper intro, though, dude. You didn't give him the proper intro. Guys, our guest panelist today is NYCFC goalkeeper Luis Barraza. Luis, this is awesome, man. I'm really excited about this because I think the first time Omar and I met you in person was right after you got drafted in Chicago. And that was kind of a whirlwind, wasn't it?
Wait, hold on. No.
Did we all freeze? Oh, you can't hear.
No, he can't hear. So we'll do that again. We'll do that again. Through the magic of editing, we will do that one more time. All right. Oh. And all right. Can you hear us now?
Yeah, is that better?
Yeah, it's way better.
Yeah.
Much better, dude.
Perfect.
All right, so we will rewind that. This has been already a lovely episode. Luis, actually, the first time that we met you was actually in Chicago when you had just gotten drafted. Omar and I were there doing the first ever Inside the 18 live at the convention podcasting. And man, what a whirlwind that was for you that day.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably one of the best days of my life to this day too. So it was amazing. I do remember talking to Omar and you that day. It was great. So it's good to chat to you guys again.
I mean, dude, honestly, you've grown so much since that day. I remember when Omar shuffled you in to the podcast setting, and I think Woody for the comms from NYCFC, I think he was the guy who was right there, and he's like, "You guys got 5 minutes with him," and Luis, you're like, "Oh man, how many of these are gonna have to do all day today?" And then we started chatting, and I think at one point he started giving this signal, you guys got to wrap it up and stuff like that because it was on to the next moment, man. So this is gonna be a little bit more of a casual conversation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Luis,
go ahead, Omar.
No, just a quick question. Were you in Oakland for a little bit? Did I see that on your Instagram?
Yeah, I was actually there for a couple weeks. I went on loan for a couple games over there, played two full 90-minute games. So I'm back with the team. Happy to be back.
Nice.
Yeah, man. It is international break, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, man. I wish you guys would have waited a little bit longer. We play you guys July, or I don't know if you even identify as an Oakland root guy, but we play you guys July 9th, so it would have been nice to finally link up. But you played with my buddy Tariq Murad. I grew up with him, so
awesome.
Yeah. I saw him commenting and stuff. I'm like, how do you guys know each other? And then I found out. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it makes sense. But that's awesome, man. How were those games for you? Or is it? I mean, 2 games. You put out the twos?
Yes. Wait, what was the question, sorry?
Omar,
were you watching the game?
No. Does NYCFC have a second?
NYCFC doesn't have a two.
We don't.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Omar
I got kind of confused. I was like, wait, what?
Sorry. I'm just so used to saying the twos and Galaxy,
no
LAFC, everybody.
Yeah, no worries, man.
I think the funniest thing about that is he's like, were you playing with the twos? And he's like, no, dude, that's why I flew across the country to get matches during the international break. Otherwise, I would have just hopped over to Hoboken or wherever we would be playing NYCFC 2 games. Oh my gosh, man. Well, it's funny, talking about that loan thing kind of before we kind of get into this whole topic and stuff, because Saskia and I, we've had this conversation about how important it is for young goalkeepers, coming into the professional game to get matches wherever they can. And even if it's having to leave your parent team, Saskia, I mean, I know that's something that you've encouraged a lot of younger goalkeepers.
Oh, I mean, right before the 99 World Cup, we had chosen the team. Well, the team was being chosen. We were in New Jersey. We just played China in a pregame at Giant Stadium. And I had been told I'd made the team, and so had Lori Fair, I think. And so I got to stay home because I'm from Jersey. He's like, stay home, spend time with your family and stuff like that. And the team went on to North Carolina to pick the third goalkeeper. So in the break before the World Cup, I was sent to Mexico to play with the under-21 team. Mind you, I was 28. So no, I was 27. I was turning 28. And I went to play. Just to get extra games in as the second goalkeeper and get those games in when you can and with whom you can and however you can. And the under-20 the under-20 team was playing against the full Mexican national team as their, warm up and stuff like that. So it was good. I got one game in. I got Montezuma's revenge. Came back sick as a dog. It was awesome. But it is what it is. I was glad I got the game in and stuff. But you have to kind of like suck up your humility and be and everything and say what's most important, and that's game experience.
And I think that's a really valuable point right there, that Saskia, that you said about, having that humility, having, and one thing, Luis, that people always say about you is how humble you are, and like when you hear of these opportunities and you're like, to go play in USL and all that sort of a thing, I know you're not the type of guy who's like, oh, well, you know what, I'm above that, or, I'm better than that type of a thing. You're like, no, I'm going to go there. And it might be a challenge because the level might be a little bit different than what I'm used to in regard to who's playing in front of me, but I'm only going to grow from it,
Exactly. And I think that was the mindset that I took when I went to Oakland. It's being in New York and having all the facilities here, the fields, like that's all I knew about the professional level. I go out there and it's just different, the way the leagues are. But I'm never going to show up somewhere and be like, oh, it's not MLS or it's not first division. Like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's pro soccer, and it's a chance for me to develop, and the team is giving me that opportunity. So just got to be grateful for that,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think one of the reasons why, you kind of are humble like that, I think Omar and I, we've discussed this and everything like that, is that, you came through, Real Salt Lake, you were in Arizona at the academy. And then, instead of going the professional route, you decided to go to college and, you kind of made yourself a name for yourself, at Marquette. I know, Omar, that's kind of where you kind of first really started tracking Luis because of his unreal foot skill that he had at the collegiate level.
Oh my God, yeah. That's when I realized, I mean, a lot of players nowadays can strike the ball right foot, left foot, but usually their weak foot is just to clear the ball and, get it above people's heads. And when I saw Luis, your highlights, man, and I remember going, oh my God, this guy can put it right foot, left foot. You don't even know which foot you are. So, I mean, just it was something that caught my eye super, super early, and shared it on my channel, and people were just like, okay, well, I feel very much inferior. I don't know. I probably should go to college now just so I can work on my left foot a little bit more. I'm not ready for the pro. So it was definitely a good opportunity for a lot of young kids out there to know that, like, you shouldn't have a weak foot. And I'm sure with NYC, the way that their style of play, how big has that been for you, kind of like adjusting to that?
I mean, you bring up a really good example where, like in college and growing up, I started playing as center back when I was 8, so that's why I was able to, or it was easier for me to play with my feet growing up. But for me, the past 2 years here have been so good because I've been able to learn from guys like Sean, guys like Brad, Rob, like. I think I saw Rob's interview with you guys, and he said, like, yeah, you can get guys playing the ball with their left, with their right, and like it's of no use if you don't know what to do with the ball, when to do it. So I think the last 2 or 3 years have been really important for me in that aspect.
You know, I mean, I
Yeah.
love the fact that you just brought that up, because that's something that Saskia has been saying consistently over and over and over again. Because you've talked about it, Saskia, how many young kids work on their weak foot, but then they don't understand how to utilize it. They just work on the technical skills, but they don't work on when to use these skills.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you can ping a ball, but when and why, you know, and are you doing it in the right situations for the right reasons, expecting a certain result, or are you just hitting it? Hey, coach, look, I can kick a 60-yard goal kick. Great, but what's the point to it? Where are you putting the ball? Like, you know, should you have gone short? You went long. You know, you have to. It's the same as a field player. You have to have a purpose to what you're doing, so that the outcome is getting the ball into the other team, into your attacking third, and scoring a goal.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Luis, like, this is not a question and answer show, so feel free to step in anytime. Like, we're just gonna have a discussion. So, like, feel free. Like, if you want to interrupt Omar, like, we do it all the time, because
he's very long-winded.
he'll just start talking about the Vegas Lights and, you know, their
If
accomplishments.
you see me go like this, that's the indication to interrupt Omar.
Oh my god.
Oh my God. Well, let's kind of get into this topic right here, guys. Today's topic is going to be, you know, kind of becoming a student of the game. And Luis, I love the fact that you brought up this topic, because I think it's something that is consistently brought up by coaches, by parents, by maybe sometimes even other players. But then there's like no guidance given. There's no template given and everything like that. So, you know, players are just kind of left to their own devices. So kind of, you know, what do you mean in your own mind? What do you mean by student of the game?
Well, you know, I think when I say student of the game is not only learning from your coaches in practice and doing the drills and knowing where to be, is also asking questions and then revisiting your practice with video, because we get our video right after practice. They send it to us. So for me, the past, like I said, 2-3 years, it's always asking questions and then coming back home and then watching practice again and see where I can get better, see little things. So that's been a big part of my development here.
Dude, I love the fact that you just brought that up right there, because I think that independent study thing, you know, I know, Omar, I know obviously you do your breakdowns and everything like that, and you do your analysis. But one of the things that I really love about what you do, especially when you were in the, you know, private environment, was you kind of gave your players homework. And Saskia, I know that you've also been really big with that with your collegiate players. You know, it's not about like, you know, your training ends, you know, at the end of the day on the field. Like, no, you've got to go and you got to put work in on your own.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that I didn't know who it was.
Yeah,
it was one of those.
Don't worry, Omar's watching the game. Don't worry, Omar's watching the game. Everyone's watching the game.
It was one of those broad rhetorical questions again, like, and me and Omar were like, "Well, you answer, so I can keep watching." I feel that for me, yes, you know, your studying in a sense doesn't end on the field or in practice when you clock in and clock out. You know, not if you want to take it to the next level. For me, being a student of the game is that for the next level is really understanding as a goalkeeper how to manipulate the situation in front of you. It's a chess game. It's how to move your pieces and how to manipulate and how to manipulate the how the attack's coming towards you, how to make it the most easiest and best situation for yourself and your defense to break it down, to not have to make a save. And if you do have to make a save, it's the easiest save. And that comes from like learning which way to force people, what systems people are playing and everything. And that's what being a student of the game is. To me, not just not in kind of like a broad spectrum of like, you know, you can watch yourself all you want, but if you don't understand what's going on in front of you, you're going to be watching yourself pick the ball out of the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, I'm even going to use an example of what's going on right now. You know, obviously, it's like, you know, Jan Sommer, you know, just you know, Mbappe took a shot, and you know, Jan Sommer had his near post covered, and the ball went off frame or whatever. He manipulated the movement of that play so that Mbappe did not have an angle on goal, and therefore, when that shot was hit, you know, it went wide. You know, and I think a lot of young goalkeepers, Luis, need to learn that is just as good as a save, and that they need to watch not just the moments. Omar, I know you've been really big about this, but don't worry, Luis, you're going to answer this one. On making sure that, you know, players are watching, you know, the shots that also go off frame.
Right, and it's something that almost goes unappreciated or unseen, but just the little details, you know, being in the right position at the right place at the right time, like it's so monumental when it comes to winning or losing games or winning a challenge or whatever. You know, if you're in the wrong spot and the ball comes like and you're in the wrong spot, you're done. Like it's such a small margin at this level that you really need to be cued in and know exactly what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah. You know,
For sure.
Go ahead, Omar.
No, I think, you know, the point you made earlier about, you know, watching film and I think early on in my coaching career, I always stopped the session, or I always wanted to, you know, watch the video, and I was the one explaining to them, hey, this is what you did wrong. Let's fix this and this and this. Now I'm at the point now, even today in the session, I trained, Luis, do you know Alex Brando?
Yeah, he trained with us here a couple of years ago when he was at the
Okay,
academy.
yeah. I remember, yeah. So he's at you know, Vegas with us, and it was just a one-on-one session today. And normally I would just say, hey, this is what I'm looking for in recovery movements. And I asked him today, I was like, okay, so in situations that you're you know, recovering back to your goal, for you physically, what are certain triggers that you feel make you ready, and then also too, what are the triggers that you're seeing from the striker that influence your movement? And I let him talk, and he made some great points about how physically, you know, because he's taller, he needs to sit a little bit lower, and then because he's taller, he likes to, you know, advance himself a little bit more. So now I'm learning more about the player that I'm coaching, and they're able to actually express what's on their mind. And now we have a conversation again versus me just, you know, teaching them. Now
Yeah.
I'm getting taught. I'm being taught again what they're thinking about in certain moments. So now if they make a mistake or there's a goal that's conceded, I can actually offer advice based on what they've already told me about themselves. And now I feel like we're meeting halfway in terms of like studying the game and studying those movements together.
And that's really important because, like, no one goalkeeper is gonna, or no two goalkeepers are gonna be the same. Like, I'm gonna do things different than Brad did last year. I'm gonna do things different than what Sean's doing right now. So, I'm never gonna do or move like he does. But as long as we understand the basic principles of positioning, it doesn't matter how we do. Like, we have our own style. Like, that's all that matters. So I think that's really important to understand that no two goalkeepers are going to be the same. Like, they're going to be different in a way.
Yeah,
I love the fact that you brought that up. Go ahead, Omar.
No. I mean, just something very quick. I think I talk about sometimes 1v1s that are going away from goal, that trailing leg that can support you. And I remember there's goalkeepers that I played with who were a little bit taller, so they can advance, or sorry, they can stay a little bit deeper because that trailing leg still covers the post. But I always knew, okay, when it's a 1v1, this taller goalkeeper is going to have the trailing leg. They can sit a little bit deeper because I'm not as tall. Okay, it's still a 1v1, but now I'm advancing myself a little bit more. So it's the same like fundamental conversation in terms of the piece that you're talking about, 1v1s. But now it's about, okay, now you look at your own profile. And like you said, Luis, is like understanding your profile versus the guy who you're, you know, trying to learn from, or people you're trying to take examples from, and then adjusting that and filtering it to what you can do as a goalkeeper. And then that from there, I think that's when you're really studying not only yourself but other people. And I think that's the best way to learn on the field.
And that's sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
No, go, Luis. This is you, man. It's all about you.
I was just gonna say, like, and that's also a big part of my learning process. You know, like a lot of people have told me, or they tell me, they're like, Luis, like, wouldn't you rather like go and play games? I'm like, yes, like I would love to play, but for me, I think I have developed so much more here, just learning from Brad, learning from Sean, learning from Rob, like just little nuances of the game is just like, to me, how the game was at Marquette and how the game is now for me it's a totally different ball game, because since I was younger, I was always able to, like, you know, play the game and play passes and make saves, but when you learn tactics and when you study deep into this, like, it's just a totally different ball game at the end of the day. And once you learn that, once you get that, it's you enjoy it so much more.
Yeah.
You know, and I love the fact that you said that, Luis, in regards to, first off about enjoying, and second of all, in regards to, yeah, you want to play, but you also have to recognize, what you're getting out of it. I mean, Saskia was even just given the example, of when she was even an older goalkeeper and stuff like that, is, there were younger goalkeepers kind of coming through that system or whatever. And it was important for those younger goalkeepers to be in those environments too and learn from those goalkeepers, because as we all know, it takes time. It takes time, especially at the professional level, Saskia, for you to be ready.
I'm so old. I was the oldest goalkeeper, so there was no person to learn from. That's not true. Kim Maslin, Cam Dimer, like there were a couple not that much older than me though. But no, you have to put your time in, and any young goalkeeper that comes in and is arrogant enough to think that they know it all is ridiculous. And like Luis said, like as you start to understand this game, it becomes more fun because in our position, it kind of slows down in a way. Like it's not as chaotic as it was when you were in college and everything like that. Like you see the sport differently, in my opinion, and the position differently, and what's unfolding in front of you differently. And that comes with experience, and it comes with playing behind Brad, and it comes with, for me, playing behind. And it comes with me playing. And so I think that, there's something to be said about that. And you are going to learn a lot from those older goalkeepers. And that's why goalkeepers get better with age. And I know that that's a weird statement, but a lot of people are like, oh, we talked about the 18-year-old or whatever, who's 6'7", who's coming up. And I'm like, oh, we'll see how he is in 5 years, 6 years.
I mean, dude, honestly, like Luis, I mean, I've seen your, progression, obviously since when you came up from Marquette to NYCFC. And I think your kind of your kind of your map, I think is something that a lot of young goalkeepers should look at in regards to being a student, because you went from being a 3 to now a 2. And then eventually, you're kind of going to get your shot. And is it for you, do you feel like that's a more comfortable transition than all of a sudden just one day you're a number one at a club and, you're kind of being, baptism by fire?
I do believe that in some way that jumping into a team and starting right away, it's kind of detrimental to one's career, in my opinion, just because, like I said, when you're in college, like it's one ball game, and then you step into this, and I'm just trying to like rethink everything that I've learned in the past 2 years. Has just been so much that I don't think in my first year I would have been like able to maybe step in the game and help, because I was good, but I didn't understand all these things, that I do now. So yeah, for sure.
So Omar, how do we set up a template? How do we set up a template to help these young goalkeepers? Because I think a lot of them are kind of, floundering around, and they don't know what to research and what to see and everything like that. And I know with your channel, you've been really big at trying to give specific bullet points for young goalkeepers to look at. So what are some of those kind of key elements in your opinion?
I mean, something that I think you just mentioned about Luis's career is that it's kind of like the progressions have been ideal per se, because it means that he's, if on paper, he should be ready when an opportunity does come. But I mean, how many young kids do we see out there who go through the motions and they said, oh yeah, by my senior year, by my junior year, I'm going to be the starter. Or by the time I'm, with the 17s or the 18s in the academy, I'm going to be the starter. And they just kind of go through the motions and not really understand specifics as to why the person that has been waiting is at where they are now. And I feel like, what I'm saying? So I feel like there's not a rite of passage. So these young kids who are up there, I feel like whether it's the coaching staff or themselves, take it under their wing. Go watch games on TV, film your games, and just watch yourself, and then just write some bullet points and things that I always say, audit yourself. See what are certain things that the opponent could be writing up on the scouting report about you. And that's really something that you have to look in the mirror and say, like, okay, I need to be serious about, well, I do have a really bad weak foot. So now if I'm the opponent, I'm going to say, when that ball goes back to Omar, force him to his left foot. So now I'm going to go to training sessions and I'm going to design sessions based on my weaknesses. And I think for me, that's something that anybody at any age can really take into their own hands. So don't just wait for your coaches to, tell you what you need to do. Obviously, they're paid to do that. But at the same time, take accountability. And I always use the word audit. Audit yourself, understand what somebody could write up against you. And then from there, put some sessions together. And now I promise you, that's what I started doing with my content. I started watching a lot more games. And I think it was, who's the goalkeeper, Mike, for Real Salt Lake now? Not Ochoa, but I think, no, the second one.
Oh, Zach McMath.
Yeah, so Zach McMath, I did a breakdown of him, and every time the ball went wide, he cheats so far. He's not going to even pay attention to the near post, but he moves 6 yards to the far post because he wants to put himself in a direct line for that ball to be served in. I don't do that, but I'm watching it, and I go, what? Why would he do that? What is that? Oh, he has a man covering the near post, and these are outswingers. So now, again, that's something that I'm learning and I'm watching. So, again, watch stuff on yourself, but also, too, when you watch games, ask questions, and then from there, go to your coaches with questions versus coming with a blank slate.
By the way, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, I was going to say, to dial back 10 minutes ago on Omar's conversation. I'm kidding, Omar.
Okay.
To bring in examples of look at Lauren for UCLA. She sat behind Tegan for 2 years. And she worked on everything she had to work on, learned from Tegan, and perfected her distribution, perfected the things she was weak at. And by the time she comes in and starts this year, she's, Pac-12 Goalkeeper of the Year and an All-American. And had she come in as a freshman, it would have been a very different road for her. She wasn't ready to start. She wasn't, she would have had to learn on the fly and kind of have probably a lot of hard bumps and bruises. And I think that actually is, if you utilize the college system properly, I think that actually is a good thing, that you can redshirt freshmen, that you can give them some time, that they can kind of get used to the pace and learn and stuff like that. That doesn't happen so much with pro as much. Sorry, that was just my thought.
No, I actually, kind of jumping into that right there, Luis, obviously, Rob Hartugian over at NYCFC, he's been big in this progression for you, and he's shouted you out in regards to, how much work that you've been putting in and everything like that. Would you say that having a goalkeeper coach who is giving you, kind of these, specific, I don't want to say homework assignments, but kind of, has really, has taken you to where you are now, and that when you were in college, you were kind of more on your own?
Yeah. I think, how can I put this? I think Rob never pushed me or encouraged me to do any video sessions or try to learn on my own. But just by the simple, he expected me to do it. You know what I mean? It was nothing there was nothing said, but I knew that he expected it. So I was like, okay, I need to step up my game, and I need to learn on my own. I need to, because I knew he wanted me to take the initiative and to take the accountability, like Omar said. So yeah, I mean, it's at this level, it's up to you. It's got to be up to you.
Yeah.
Which sounds a lot like what Omar and Saskia, were saying about it. It's not a hand holding session, at the professional level. And I'm not saying at the college session level, it's a hand holding either, Saskia. But again, like you said, it's just the amount of what's expected of a professional, because at the youth level, and I still want to call college still the youth level, you're still let's just say the college level is you're learning how to become a professional. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, there's a massive transition period in life as a human being, from going from mom and dad to by yourself to college, or you go straight to pro, whatever it is, the pace of the game, being responsible for yourself off the field as well as on the field. And those are all transition. If you can take a breath and you can actually take your time and learn from people that have gone through it and work on your deficiencies across the board, you're just going to become a better player. If you try to jump in full steam, I think we can name multitudes of goalkeepers that have, or field players as well, that have just had so much promise and then totally fizzled out.
And I think that's That's the key right there, is that having the promise and then fizzling out because you're not willing to put that extra type of
Or not
work.
knowing how. You're too young.
Yeah.
You don't know how.
Exactly.
Hold on. Oh, totally went the wrong way. No, you don't know how. You're a child. I'm sorry for anybody out there that thinks they aren't. Freddie Adu, just start naming them off. You're a child. You are. And the minute you think that you know it all, and the minute you think that because you have money in your pocket that you can walk onto a field and play, that's not the truth. There's so much involved in this. It's a life lesson on and off the field. And so, yeah, you have to be a student of the game, but you have to be a student of life, and you have to take your time, you take your bumps and bruises, and you have to be humble.
You know, I will say this too, though, you know, for anybody who starts pointing out these anomalies like a Donnarumma, you know, or Casillas or anything like that, you know, Omar, you kind of even brought this up recently, you know, that Donnarumma, if he had left AC Milan earlier, it probably wouldn't be the success that he's going to be now at PSG, because the reason he was successful at AC Milan is because he was coming through there. So he was familiar with the whole experience there, you know, so that's a little bit of an outlier, right?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That's a really, really good point. That's a good shout, because I think you even see something like Kepa, right? I mean, he had a good start with Bilbao, and then once he left there was like the promise of the world. He was the most expensive goalkeeper in history, and now all this pressure on him, and he didn't live up to the billing. And now people are at like 26 now. I think he's 26, are saying he's not going to be able to recover. And I think that, I hope he does, but I think that in itself is a great example. Yeah, well, I'm saying that in itself is that people are writing this guy off, versus you take the proper steps, the proper process. Of course, you're not going to say no to your agent; is not going to let you say no to something like that. But take the proper steps and the progressions, because over time you want to be ready when the opportunity comes. And Mike, to what Saskia is saying in terms of like you are young, I think in my opinion there are three things that you have to be very good at in goalkeeping in terms of studying a student of the game on the field, at technical, tactical awareness on the field. The second thing is your nutrition and your off the field fitness regimen. Those two have to be in sync. And the last is your actual like tactical awareness, but off the field and video sessions. So like those three things are so not easy, but if you can have them all kind of progressing as you get older. So like Luis says, Rob is stepping into these things, kind of expecting you to be ready to watch video, to be able to analyze your sessions, to understand your technical and tactical, I guess, deliberate movements. Why are you doing that? Those answers should come easy to you because you've been doing it forever. And I think a lot of kids, there's a disconnect between one of those three pillars, and two are good, one is bad. For me, I had good tactical awareness. I was very good on the field, but my nutrition and my physical stuff was not on point, and that essentially brought me down and limited my technical and physical ability, which again, in video sessions was not pretty to watch. But I think if all those three pillars are up together, in my opinion, you're on the road to success.
Yeah, I would say, aside from popular belief with my physique, I would, I was like that's just God's gift from my dad's side of the family. I should have taken better care off the field on certain things as well, and I would have played longer than I did. I mean, I retired at 34, but I think I could have kept playing had I taken better care. I mean, I ended my career because of a herniated disc and stuff. But I think that I agree with you 1,000%. But that comes with that comes with age. It comes with understanding yourself and your body and stuff. And I'm sorry, an 18-year-old thinks they're invincible. They still think they're rubber. And eventually you don't get out of bed that fast. So sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to say this with Luis right there, because I never even thought about that. These are such profound thoughts coming from Saskia and Omar right here, Luis. But that, in the student aspect, learning how to eat properly for how your body behaves, is an aspect of being a student, because again, like you were saying, not every goalkeeper is alike. The way you eat and the way Sean's going to eat are going to be kind of different based on what your guys' needs are.
That's a really good point to touch on. I think Sean naturally is more lean, good for him. Don't like it for me. But yeah, no, it's a really important thing to talk about, because I actually this year, I started last year. I actually had to make a change in my diet and actually dial down on what I ate and when I ate, because my first year I was training, I was playing good in training, but you notice the difference when you change what you ingest. And for me, uh, this year that was a big difference, because I just feel faster and stronger, rather than like you know eating, or sorry, um, in comparison to my first year, where I was not really tuned into what I was eating. This year has been phenomenal in that sense.
I mean, dude, I mean, I didn't even realize how important it was, even at my age right now, until I played last week. I played last Friday. By the way, poor decision on my part. I wore studs on a turf field that, like, the turf was like this much, dude. I felt like I was playing in heels. It was literally.
How old are you?
I know, it was stupid. It was
You're
really,
like that
really
kid that's like, I got my new studs. I'm wearing them no matter what.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened. I was all excited about these boots, so I put them on, and like the next day, I'm just like walking, I'm just like wobbling around or whatever. And I'm like, maybe if I didn't eat all those cinnamon rolls, I still would have been better off. So,
Yeah, AIA kids out there, wait till your metabolism slows down.
oh, that's why I've got all these like kombucha and like these like, metabolism beverages and stuff like that because of that. Guys, I apologize for everybody who's watching this PK shootout.
I know, we're sitting here like, I'm like, nobody likes us right now. There's like 2 followers, probably my parents.
I'm wondering if Wednesday we should just do just a watch party of the Euro match instead of doing the podcast or something like that. I don't know.
Well, no keeper's gotten close to making a save, so.
No. So the Lloris did have that PK save earlier. Luis, did you see that PK save that Lloris had?
I did not, but I'm not
okay.
surprised. He's always been so great. So
but that's a great segue right there in regards to being a student right there. I think one of the biggest problems that a lot of young goalkeepers make, Luis, when it comes to PKs or any of those types of really pressure situations, is they only watch goalkeepers on their successful actions there. They don't watch the goalkeepers that are getting beat. Speaking of beat, no.
Am I behind you?
I didn't say anything. Oh, you must be.
Nice top hand save.
Look at that.
Wow, it's game over.
Game over. Oh my gosh. Le Bleu is gone.
Hey! Yeah, they didn't even realize it. Everybody's been scoring. He's like, wait, did we just win?
Luis is like, when I come back on the show, right? I get to come back on the show because of this disaster that's been. Okay, now that the game is over.
Okay, all right.
Now that the game is over, we can go to some of Luis's clips right here because I want to start doing a little bit of breakdowns of some of these clips right here. Yeah, no, this is gonna be good, dude. This is gonna be good. We're gonna showing you scored on left and right. It's gonna be great.
Jesus.
No, I'm kidding. We're not gonna do that. These are gonna be positive movements, right? So these are gonna be positive movements right here. Oh, hold on, let me. Okay, so let's go to what is this play that I want to go to? Not this one. Here we go. Okay, this is Sacramento. I think basically what happens, Sacramento, Oakland. So this is in the recent loan spell, right, Luis? Obviously what happens is the ball is lost on a tackle in the 55th minute around midfield, and then it's like a fluke kind of crazy play that kind of leads to like this through ball at the top of the 18, and then you come out approach. Right? Nice, solid, fast approach, the slow arrival that Omar always talks about. And you just kind of hold and you keep this block shape right there because you recognize that you have your angle. And it's just a slight deflection based on just that little touch right there. Let's play it again in real time so kind of everybody can kind of see this as it happens here. Look at that touch. Brilliant. In my opinion, that's fantastic goalkeeping right there. Luis, you kind of want to walk us through what you were thinking right there?
Yeah, for sure. I think so I think it might have been. I think it was a free kick before that or a corner kick where obviously there's a clearance and the center back slides, and at that moment I knew no one in the defensive line was aware that the ball was gonna get through and then there was a guy there. So everybody I feel at that time everybody was ball watching, and I knew this, and I was like, okay. As soon as the guy slid and hit the ball, I was like, okay, I need to cut this angle because it's going to this guy, and I need to be able to make this save. So, yeah, right there, I already made my decision, and I'm already full speed to close the angle.
But what I love about it is that you have that discipline to hold rather, because again, and Saskia, you always talk about this, how many goalkeepers try to take that extra step, sneak that extra step. And that extra step is exactly what that player was looking for, because now they got the space.
Yeah, well, there are two things that young goalkeepers do. One, they'll just keep coming. When you've been, obviously he's going to beat you to the ball. And the other one is what Luis says great here is while this ball is in no man's land, nobody can do anything with that ball. It's running. He can't shoot it or anything. This is when he's stealing his space. So by the time that the player gets in striking distance, he's stolen enough space that there is no angle. There is no shot. He has no shot. And what a lot of young goalkeepers do are going to wait at the top of the six, let that player get the ball, and then try to come. Or they'll stay, and the goal's huge. So the brilliance of this is he's stealing the space when that ball is traveling in no man's land, in that dead area where that's what it's for. So
I love what you just said right there, Omar. I think that's something that you've identified in the. No, I know you just said it right now. But I wasn't giving Omar credit for that right there. I wasn't gonna be like,
oh my God,
were you even listening, or were you watching the Euro?
You're so easy. Go ahead.
But what I meant is that, Omar, with your theory of the fast approach and the slow arrival, is that you've always talked about the fact is that the reason that you give that fast approach is because when the ball is traveling is when you can move your quickest. Once the ball has arrived, you have to decelerate. If you're still traveling, you're going to get caught.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think two things for me that stand out here is one, staying connected with the play. I think most people, when that ball gets cleared up half field, they kind of relax for a second, they exhale versus staying connected. So obviously you scanned and you saw what was happening in front of you, and because you stayed involved in the play and you didn't exhale, you were ready to come out for this ball. But I think also too, kind of what Saskia is saying is as you came out, most goalkeepers, and sometimes for some reason they just kind of fall over, and the little dink over the top is what people like to do. So in that situation, you kind of coming up and not, just going straight to the ground and keeping your chest up a little bit. Now the striker has to go, okay, I have no angle. I can't dink it over him. And from this post, I'm sure you can get that knee down for a block save. So for me, I think, again, in terms of all the approach, all the mental checklists, all the physical checklists, you got it all the way through. And I think right here, again, the striker literally just has to try and put it on frame. And again, you were able to get that trailing leg on it.
Yeah, you stood him up. Like you
exactly right there.
Because if you go into the K save right here, which you know how much I love that, which we see a lot of young kids do. If you commit, if you go low or anything, it's a dink over the top. But you stood him up. And it's the same thing we talked about with Michelle Akers. It's like the minute you stand them up, they're like, shoot. Like, I have nothing.
Yeah, I think it's the standing up part as well. But I think when you slow your approach down, as a striker as well, if I see somebody come out and then they cover the angle and they slow their body down, my idea of trying to either dink you is not going to happen. And also too, trying to dribble around you. Now, from a goalkeeper's perspective, you're in a more settled position that you can continue running and move laterally with me. So as a striker, my only option here, I can't dribble around you, I can't dink it, is to just put it on frame. And again, because as Mike said, you travel with the ball and you got there when the guy picked his head up, you covered the entire goal. So I love this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Luis, I have a real quick question before we kind of move on to this next clip right here, is that the discipline of staying up right there, is that something that has been a conscious decision by you for the most part throughout your career, or is that something that you've had to work on?
I firmly believe that I developed that in the last 2 years. Because with Rob, that's literally what we do twice a week. It's ball from the top of the box to the side, and depending on the touch he takes, you either step or you come back to your line, or if he takes a long touch, then you go and close. So I think that wasn't conscious, but it was just natural to me because we've been working on this for the past 2 years. So that was just automatic.
Yeah.
So now, Luis, now we're going to see how much of a student of the game you are. We're going to go back in time, and we're going to see the younger Luis.
Oh wow!
And
Okay.
and let's see how different decisions look right here. And the reason I'm doing this first off is that you're such an awesome dude, and you're willing to let people see these types of situations and see the kind of the maturation of yourself. The second one is because the action before was still successful, but we can see how just by fine tuning it, it's even more successful now. So so what we're going to do right now, let me put this this guy back up here right here. So can everybody see this? Okay, so this is against Tigres, NYCFC, and I think so. What happens right here? It's a throw in deep, and it's going down. It's going down the end line right here, and you steal. In my opinion, I think you came out a little bit too much right there. I don't know how you feel about it right there, but because you've recognized you came out too much, you track that ball. You go down on the smother, covering the space. Making yourself big right there, keeping that shape great right there, and then you still hold on to the ball nice and clean right here. But again, a little bit different in regards to the discipline that you have now versus kind of stealing right there. Any other thoughts on that, or am I completely off base?
No, for sure. I think as soon as I saw the game back, I was in awe that I did. I couldn't believe I did that because in that moment I need to be 2 steps back. I was too eager to try to jump the ball, but in the end it worked out because I got the ball. But that's definitely not a spot that you want to be in.
Yeah. Anything else? Anybody want to add to this, Saskia? Any thoughts? I know how critical you can be on these types of situations. That was a stupid thing to say. I didn't mean it like that.
No, it's not critical. It's interesting. We can sit here and say he needs to be 2 steps back. I'm not upset about it. But at the same time, he's the cover for the pressure on the ball. And that player doesn't have a shot. All he has is a touch. And the only way he's going to beat that player is with a long touch. He's not going to beat you, Luis, with a shot. He's not going to go through the player. And so that long touch, you're there to eat it up. I don't know if you're 2 steps back, if that becomes a more difficult smother for you.
And it's a weird one because
it's a weird one.
If I'm 2 steps back, I can't make that save.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you're 2 steps back, you're not that. You might try to smother it, but he might tip it past you.
Exactly.
So I don't really necessarily say, oh no, you should have stayed on your line here, because I look at it like, all right, you've got your player and you have the goal covered, the angle's covered. And now, like I said, the only way that player can go anywhere is to do a long touch. There's nobody in here to pass it to. And if there is, in my opinion, you'll probably be able to drop step and recover. So I'm not really mad about, I wouldn't be upset about this as a goalkeeper coach. I'd be like, it's one of those situational things.
I wouldn't say mad, but playing devil's advocate here, I see what Luis was saying about 2 steps back, because maybe if he's 2 steps back, that scenario doesn't occur. It doesn't come about.
What do you mean? If he's 2 steps, maybe if he's 2 steps back, he doesn't take the long touch and he beats the player, and now you're in a world of trouble.
Oh.
Like I don't really have a problem with the situation. I mean, I guess in a black and white world, we can say, yeah, you should be 2 more steps back. But there's so many different ways this could develop.
Yeah, no, I think for me, I think here, my center back could have probably done a bit better. Like he has to win that ball. And if he does that, then I can stay in my line and I can hold my ground. And even if the other guy, if the attacker wins the ball, he's in a tough spot to beat me. So then I don't have to step forward. I can stay in my line. And if he crosses it, I'm already in a good spot to turn and face the cross.
Yeah. Yeah, that's my only thing would be if he slotted the ball, you're so far out of position that the odds of you ever getting back across the goal are slim and none.
Yeah,
that would be the only thing. But I think that on the backside, that if you taking the long touch, had you been further back, you never would have gotten to the long touch.
Yeah, no, I hold my position in saying that I need to be lower, just because of the ball that can come across. But like I said, I mean, I ended up with the ball. It was
Yeah.
fortunate for me, but yeah, it's definitely not a position that I want to be in.
Omar, any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, in this situation, again, we talk about Mike with like Tim Dittmer, like praising the intent of the play, and I think in this situation, that ball's good 3-4 yards off the striker's foot. So in this situation as well, okay, good reading of the game, but also too, it could have been a situation where you call off your center back if it was even bigger touch and you smother the ball. So I think, in my opinion, watching the play back, I like the intent of you being eager to try and make a play because it looked like it. The ball was separated enough where you can come make a play. But obviously, slow down a little bit. You got to touch in front of the center back. You dealt with it, but it's a learning thing. So just be, hey, understand that you can be eager to come out for the ball, but at the same time, understand, pick and choose, and let what's happening in front of you dictate, I guess, your eagerness and your aggressiveness.
For sure,
dude. I love what you just said right there, Omar, in regards to calling off the back. If you're going to come off like that, call off that back. So rather than creating kind of like that log jam of the player trying to come in and win the ball, you're making the decision, Luis, of like, this is going to be my ball. So I'm coming off, I'm going to win it regardless. Jaime Pineda was great at that at the LA Galaxy, right, Omar?
Oh man, that was so long ago. I have no idea, but yes, I'll say yes to your point.
Come on, Mr. Galaxy fan.
I think Luis, had you not come off, he would have scored.
He has a free shot. If
he has a free shot, he could have buried you near post or gone far post. If you don't come off, yeah. So no, Mike, I don't agree with you.
So this is awesome because this is showcasing what becoming a student of the game is, getting different opinions because there is no right or wrong answer. And rather
yes, your answer was wrong.
Okay.
You're the only one in our little group that it has a different answer. It's like Sesame Street. Which of these things belong together?
Guys, I just want to let you know that every session I had this afternoon has canceled already. They've already canceled.
Because they're watching you give wrong answers.
Exactly. The parents like, you know what? When's Saskia at UCLA? Does she have the field at UCLA on Friday? I think we'd rather do that. No, but obviously we're joking around and stuff like that. But having conversation with other goalkeepers and other goalkeeper coaches, Luis, is how you become a better student. Because if you don't hear different opinions, you're never going to grow.
100%. And I think I was actually talking to Sean about this earlier, where I was just telling him how like what we do now in training, it's something that I needed growing up because I always had like the individual type training where it's like, oh well, all technical stuff, footwork, diving, all that type of stuff. But I kind of lacked like the more technical side of the game. And I was just telling Sean, I was like, listen, I'm so glad that I came into a place where I'm actually working on what I needed to work. So yeah, I mean, so happy here right now. So happy.
Yeah. I think you just brought up a really good point, and this is something that's actually really fascinating to me, before we kind of move on to this last clip and everything like that. But like, is that being a student of the game, it's not just about the tactical, it's not just about the technical, it's about both. And I think a lot of young goalkeepers, and Omar, I know this is something that you've talked about with a lot of young goalkeepers, is they say, oh, I'm a student of the game. I've been working on my footwork here and my collapse dive here and, my shape here. And look how clean I am with the handles. But then they're a disaster when it comes to the tactical because all they've been focusing on is learning how to do the technical.
Yeah. I mean, that's when we talk about using different sports, for example, is, most people can hit a free throw. But when you add actual like pressure, a lot of guys fold. You can actually hit a 3-pointer standing still, but when you actually add movement to it, you're not going to be able to do it. So I think it's one way to decipher here's a technical aspect, and in isolation I can do it, but then putting yourself in the position to actually execute that and fine tune the technical aspect once you actually put it to a full speed game. So yeah, I see a lot of kids sometimes say I can play the ball with my left foot. Okay, perfect. Let me play you a ball across your body, one touch clearance with your left foot. Let's see with a striker coming behind you, following your right back. Chasing after the ball. They can't do it. So I think, again, it's important to, again, understand what you need to work on those in isolation, and then watch the game, whether it's the system that you play or the team that you're going to play against. watch how they play and how they press, and then understand, okay, they're probably going to force me to my left foot. Is it going to be a central pass back? I take my touch outside and I serve the ball like that. You have to do all those different types of scenarios so that when the time comes, it's best if you don't need it. But if you do, you can actually call on some mental recall that you've done in preseason or in off-season stuff.
Yeah, and I think, Saskia, you've brought this up, consistently over and over again, is that, there are certain things that, I can do with you in training, and there are certain things that you can do on your own. And if you meld those two together, that's the best of both worlds right there, Does that make any sense? And what I mean by that is like, what Omar was talking about right there in regards to putting those scenarios together and recognizing it through doing. That's something very difficult that you can't replicate on your own.
Correct.
And I think
there's certain things that you can get done by yourself. Just repetition, just mundane stuff that's super important to goalkeeping. But then there's stuff that, no, you can't. It's impossible to replicate on your own. You need to train with somebody, preferably more than one person, a goalkeeper and a coach and several other players, to really try to, because we all agree that the best way to learn is to try to do game scenarios, game-like scenarios, period. Game pace, game-like scenarios and everything. And like I said, there's a lot you can do on your own, just the mundane repetition stuff. But when it comes down to that, you need somebody. You need several people.
So I want to share this right now. Let's see if I can get this guy up here. Let's see if this opens. Oh, no, I don't want the volume on. Okay. Where the heck is this play?
Sorry, he talks to himself, Luis.
I do. I do.
I noticed.
and then he also starts. He has this little song he hums. He's like,
I do.
Does he have a playlist, or does he only?
No, he just sings it to him. It says Mike. It's his Mike song. I don't know what it is.
It's me, and I just make it up as I go along right here. Okay, so this is in the 62nd minute right here. We're just going to play it through right here. But basically, I think what happens in this play is there's a back pass, immediate chase. You recognize that chase. And so what you do is you drop back to create depth, opening up this pocket for this player, and you disguise your pass from going wide, and then you just connect it with this player right here. So let's just play that again in real time so everyone can kind of see it, kind of develop from here, and then just kind of walk through it right here. Ball comes in, boom, chase.
Don't let it go past you.
And that's great right there. Luis, you want to walk us through there, right there?
Yeah, for sure. I think that was last year, preseason, so against Palmeiras. Yeah, so I think I actually talked to Rob about this, and initially I thought, I was like, wow, this is a great decision. Like, I faked like I was going long and I played short and I connected. But in all reality here, if I take this touch and play James, my center back, right away, he can then play Tony and then we're out. Rather than me playing Justin in the middle, he takes a touch, then he's facing, he's with his back, he's facing my goal. So like, we're not going forward here. It's just like a whatever pass for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Omar.
No, I think what you just said right there too is faking that you're going long, and I think that's not a lost art, but I think a lot of people don't understand the power of a step over. Or we talked about Caitlin Sheridan. She fakes long. She's going to use her big throw for a counterattack, and that forces the right center midfielder to drop off, and now it gives her left back an opportunity to have some breathing room to drive the ball up. So in these situations, even on goal kicks with Alex, who's our goalkeeper, I tell him if they're going to pressure you on the right side, fake a step over to the left, and now if anything, you're giving your right center back, who's Tony. You give Tony an extra second or two to actually touch the ball, scan the field. So something like this, again, if I'm watching it from a student perspective or a coach scouting, I go, okay, good. He knows how to actually use his body and dictate what's in front of him. To what Saskia said earlier, you can play a long ball, but what are you doing prior to that? How are you manipulating what's in front of you so that long pass is actually to an open player versus somebody who's going to have to flick it on?
Yeah. No, I agree.
I mean, the other good thing about this is a lot of young players look at the touch. So we're taught to take that setup touch, right? If you take a setup touch here, like we talked about, if you take a setup touch here and you go towards this player, you're putting yourself into a world of trouble. Right now, now that player is closing you. You've just touched the ball towards that player and everything. What I like is that you kill the ball, you take a step backwards, to assess, and now you're not putting yourself into a bad situation by taking that touch forward. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a good thing for young goalkeepers to learn. It doesn't always have to be like a penetrative or like a forward setup touch. You can kill the ball and take a step backwards, and that's what you did. And that gave you a little bit more time to scan the field instead of putting yourself into a bad position.
Now, Luis, I do see what you're saying right here in regards to the fact that, like, if you had played earlier, you could have just played in there, and now we're out. Because the fact that you took that little bit extra time, your only scenario, though, in my opinion, and I'm saying, I mean, pick your poison type of a thing here, but like this is a more effective ball than you just kind of cracking that ball, in my opinion, So I think you
sure.
got to give yourself a little bit of credit right there, because he was still able to maneuver himself out, and you were still open, so he could reset with you right here. You know what I'm saying?
For sure. I think, I'm just always, I'm that type of person. It's just like, I'm always going to be super critical about everything that I do. And I mean, if you see where this play goes, it doesn't it takes us way too long for us to get out. It takes way too long. Where as opposed to if I play the pass to the center back, as soon as I get the first ball to James to my left, then we're out. And we're onto the attack rather than just waiting here, see what happens, and then attacking.
Yeah. No, so I see. So as you're saying, so right here, if you had just right there, just played that ball quick.
So go a little bit back.
A little bit farther back?
Right here.
Okay.
Right here.
Okay.
So right here, play it.
Uh-huh. Okay. So I play it here.
So take a touch, give it to James. Right there.
Okay.
Boom.
Okay.
And then he plays.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I play my center back here. He gets it and then plays Tony right away, and then we're up. Rather than me trying to play Justin, which I did, and then Justin plays me back, and then I play James, and then now James is under pressure. Just let it play. Watch.
Okay.
I get the ball back. Now the attacker's right onto James right here. James has no space right there, and it takes us. Yeah, so I don't know if we actually came out of that, but yeah.
So I see what you're saying. So it allowed, but because the fact, even though he was able to play the ball back to you, because of the fact that they were already able to sit in on you, now the chance was lost to get out. No, I see exactly what you're saying right there. See, I love this, man. We're doing a video session right now. This is absolutely brilliant, man. But I think this is really awesome stuff.
I'm sure Rob would be happy.
Well, I mean, when he was on, man, he had some pretty awesome tape. So I know he's big on that kind of stuff. I know that everybody's got to start get going right here. With their everyone's busy schedules right here. By the way, guys, if anyone's wondering why we did not have shows last week, it's the summer and everyone's extremely busy right now, and the Euros were going on at the same time, and a lot of this would have been going on at the same time, but I know that we wanted to get Luis on, so I'm glad we were still able to make it happen. Luis, kind of before we go, what advice do you give to any young goalkeepers, who are saying I've tried to be a student of the game and now I'm struggling because I'm thinking too much in the game because I've been learning so much. I think that's a habit that I'm hearing from a lot of young goalkeepers. Is oh, you told me to go out. I've researched all this stuff. Now I'm coming into my game and I'm trying to do all of that rather than just letting it happen.
Okay. Yeah. I think I was caught, or I have been caught in that mindset a little bit, just because there's so much information to take in. And yeah, I get it. Sometimes you're overthinking a play or overthinking a pass, when in reality the game is simple, but it becomes simple after playing games. So for me, the ability for me to go to college and to get those games there allowed for my game to expand, because you can watch film, you can train all you want. If you can apply it into the game, you're never going to grow, you're never going to learn. So playing games for me is a big part. And I know a lot of like players are like, oh, D1, like I gotta go D1, I gotta go D1. You don't have to. Like even if you go Division 2 and you play games rather than going D1 and being on the bench, like it's much more helpful to take the D2 route and get games in that sense.
I mean, I think I absolutely agree with that. And this is a conversation that we have over and over and over again in regards to go find somewhere where you're going to keep developing and you're going to keep playing. You know, and this is even a conversation that we've had, you know, talking to younger kids at the club level too. You know, are you going to go to an ECNL team and sit on a bench and never play? Or are you going to go somewhere, you know, maybe ECRL and you're going to play and you're going to develop and then maybe next year you're ready to play ECNL? I mean, Saskia, I know this is a conversation you have to have with people all the time.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. No, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, one last thing for me is also when I went to Marquette or going to Marquette, I wasn't really happy with that because I wanted to go pro, you know, but unfortunately the chance wasn't given. So I had to go to college. So I was like, okay, cool. Like I gotta make this work. But no, in the end, I look back and I'm like, I'm so glad I was able to go the college route and get those games under my belt and develop rather than maybe going too soon or too early onto the pros and maybe not making it, you know, because you're not having that game action.
Yeah. I love what you just said right there, man. That's a great way to wrap it up right there. By the way, Luis, so if anybody out there wants to follow you and kind of keep seeing this journey, you know, I think one of the really cool things is on your social media, you've done a really good job of kind of like showing that journey all the way from Marquette, you know, to the pro game and stuff. Where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Instagram, Twitter, not really Facebook, but yeah, Instagram, Twitter.
Gotcha. And what's that handle for anybody out there who wants to follow?
For Instagram is Huicho Barraza, just Huicho Barraza, and then for Twitter is Luis Barraza with an extra A at the end.
Gotcha. And obviously, guys, if you have any thoughts and oh, Saskia, don't you have an event going on this weekend for Angel City? Isn't there an event going on?
We do. We are a couple of the big supporter groups and everything. We're getting on the metro down at Union Station. We're taking it to the stadium. We're having a big celebration party because we are releasing our official logo on the 30th. So the next day we're going to have a big party about it. The logo is absolutely amazing. And you guys will all get to see it. And when you see the breakdown of what the logo means, I never knew so much went into the breakdown of what a logo means. And it's pretty phenomenal. So I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, man, that's going to be a lot of fun. If you're in the Southern California area, definitely check that out. And I think what Rebellion is putting that together. So what
yeah, a bunch of our groups are.
Okay.
I mean, we're putting it together as Angel City, but Rebellion 99 is a big part of it. A bunch of our groups are. So they'll all be there. It'll be like 3,000 people on a train. It'll be like, you know, you don't remember these movies. I won't even bring it up. Forget it. It's gonna be like Trading Places, but nobody knows what that means. So it's all right.
If you want to know more about that, guys, follow Saskia at Saskia_Weber. I know she's going to be posting all about that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Guys, if you want to see Omar's journey as the Las Vegas Lights goalkeeper coach, follow him at ProGKAcademy _. Obviously, guys, contact at InsideThe18media.com if you have a guest suggestion or a topic suggestion, or at Goalkeeper Podcast on all social media platforms. If you want to reach out to me directly on anything comedy related, at Michael Magid, MAGID. Show Friday, 7 o'clock in North Hollywood. You can see all the details there.
They're just wondering if I'll be at the show to heckle you.
Basically. I know Omar and Susk, you guys still have to come to a show. You guys still have to come to a show.
I'll just heckle you the whole time. You'll have a total heart attack. Sorry.
Oh my God. All right, guys. That's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.